Hey everyone, Leroy here. So the drum log has been announced and it is out and it exists in the world, and we want to know from you, what do you think about it? How have you been vibing with all the videos that exist on the internet? We spent a bit of time with it, and I gotta say, I absolutely love it. I love the way it sounds, and I love the way it feels, and I love what it can do. This is a drum machine. It's not a groove box. This is a drum machine that pushes the boundaries of what you can do in the world of drum machines. Maybe a little bit more on that later towards the video, so stay tuned. In this video, we're gonna dive a little bit deeper and take a look at some more advanced sequencing techniques, as well as the multi-engine oscillator, as well as probability and chance. So, without further ado, let's run the intro. Let's get stuck in. So in this little jam, I'm kind of using a bunch of techniques that exist on the drum log. Everything from randomization to chants, right through to polyrhythm and sequencing sounds using a unique polyrhythm capabilities that the drum log has. So probably best to kind of like rebuild that patch from scratch in its own new way, all right? So what I have here is I have a bunch of sounds. I've got kick, snare, low tom, and this sounds from the multi-engine here, and a bunch of different samples as well. And I'm just going to kind of start from scratch and just sequence them in this new way. So if I'm going to start with this synth, this is the multi-engine. So this is the sound from the Nano preset, which is comes with the drum log, and it was created by a company called Sine Vibes, and it comes pre-installed with the drum log. It's a 2 oscillator synth, and you can change all of the waveforms here. You've got 2 waveforms to choose from. You can also apply some detuning, and you have filter, resonance, envelope generator, and cutoff and everything like that. So it's really quite complex. There's quite a lot you can do here. So on a sound design level, there's quite a lot you can achieve. Currently, I'm using 2 square waves to achieve that kind of really sort of donkey kind of like bass tone. So I'm going to hit step, and I'm going to enter in some notes. If I hold down the step, I can now change the probability that these steps will occur. Now I want them to be only around 80%, and you can change the alternations as well. So every first cycle it will occur, or 87% chance that it will occur on the first cycle, and then this one can be on the second cycle. You can also change the length of the note as well. Now I'm going to move on to another sound. So what I would normally do with a sequence like this is I would want to establish like a bass rhythm, and I would normally use that with the kick drum. And so all of these other sounds would just be kind of cycling through in different patterns and cycles throughout the sequence. So here I have a kick, and I would sequence that on a regular downbeat interval. So you can really hear how the kick and the snare is anchoring the groove, and everything else just sort of floats around it. But I kind of want to take it a little bit further. one of the really cool things about the drum log is its ability to be able to sequence samples using this thing called polyrhythm or polymetric sequencing. This just means that every sound has its own independent step length, which just creates a really generative and interesting groove we can establish underneath that kick and the snare. I'll show you how that works on the drum log. I'm going to select this sound here and I'll shift part and time, and I can change the step length. So now this sequence is only going to repeat on a 9-step sequence, and so it's running completely independent of the initial groove. And you might be able to see here on the display that that lane there has its own little playhead just rotating over a 9-step sequence. And so if we were to do this with all the other parts or all the other elements of the groove, we can create a really interesting and unique sound. So now move to this sound. And if we hit step, we can see where the steps are. So that's only going to step 7. So I might go to shift part and make this sound go to 8 steps or 7 steps to keep it kind of off the grid. Nice. Now let's add in some of these samples for the open hats. There's a couple of ways you can use polyrhythm on the drum log. You can have it so that the sequence will always reset no matter what step length you have it at, or you can change it to poly mode, which means it will just freely cycle in that step length and it won't reset to the downbeat of your sequence. So here with this sequence here, you can see it kind of clicks back over to the downbeat, but if we go shift and poly, means it will freely cycle. Meaning that it kind of sounds different every time it rotates through the sequence. I've seen polyrhythm exist on many other drum machines before, but this reset feature is really unique to the drum log, and I haven't really seen it on many other drum machines. But let us know in the comments if you see anything else out there quite like this. Now I head over to the bass line and we'll start programming in some sounds that way. I really loved what Korg did with motion sequencing over their vocal range. It was really great to be able to just press record and record a parameter movement. And the drum log sort of employs a lot of that same ideology. However, it allows you to do it per step. So it's almost kind of like parameter locking in some kind of way or another. Let's take a look at how we can do this on the drum log. And I'm going to do it with this multi-engine, and I'm going to modulate the filter. So if I hit step, I can see that notes exist here, and if I go motion, hold down this step, I can actually enter in a value to modulate the filter for that percentage from that particular step. And let's do it again for this one, and maybe we'll go down for this one. So the filter is being opened for these 2 steps here and closed on this one, or closed a little bit further. So it kind of creates that movement of that sound. And maybe let's try and do it with the resonance. There we go. I believe there's 4 automation lanes per sound, which is pretty a lot. If you have any idea of the exact number of this, let us know in the comments. And I can also apply some motion sequencing for the envelope, for the cutoff envelope. And hey, handy tip, you can hold down multiple steps and automate multiple steps at a time, which is genius. A common technique with beat making is to automate the decay on the hi-hats to give a bit more movement in the groove. So let's give that a go. So as you can see, I was just spending a bit of time here just making some re-edits to some of the steps and adding in some motion sequencing. This is just a really great way of kind of your beat making workflow with the drum log to kind of really push the groove a little bit further than just a simple 16-step sequence. Changing individual lanes, individual sounds to kind of move on their own terms is a really, really powerful feature that I love about this drum log. So I think it's worth pointing out that this is not a groove box and this is a drum machine. I absolutely love all the features that this has, and I think it kind of, in a way, pushes the boundaries of what drum machines really are. Bang for buck, this has so many features built into it. There's not a lot on the market at this price point that has all the features and sounds that this does, including an analog element and a digital element. But to me, what's most important is it has its own unique sound, its own flair and its own vibe about it that can be used in many different creative ways. Whether you're into techno, hip hop, house music, and various other forms of electronic music, there's seriously a lot you can get out of this. Well, I'm just scratching the surface here. There's still a lot of things I feel like I'm yet to discover. But as always, we're really interested to see what you have to say. So please let us know in the comments how you feel about the drum log and what your vibe is so far. So thanks for tuning into the video. And as always, we'll see you next time.